people picture moving to Indianapolis or any of the cities and towns around Indianapolis, most of the time they think about a friendly place to live, more space, and they certainly think about more affordable homes. But it doesn't always meet the expectation that they have before they come in and visit and certainly move to the area. Today we're going to break down 5 of the Indianapolis suburbs that some people call overrated, and some people certainly come in and think, hey, this is a little bit overpriced from what I was thinking. I thought it would be a little bit more affordable than this. We're going to break down why some of these areas might seem perfect to buyers, but in reality, it doesn't quite meet what they see on paper. Some of the hidden costs and trade-offs that some buyers just don't realize, and some of the alternatives that you might have to that particular city or town that you're looking at that might be a more affordable or a better fit in some way towards your lifestyle. I'm Jason Compton, a top 1% here in the Indianapolis Metro, and we help families and investors relocate here every single week. So if you're thinking about moving anywhere in Indianapolis or the cities and towns that we're going to cover here in this video, then this is the kind of information that you're not going to find on Zillow or Realtor.com or a blog that you randomly find somewhere online. So let's start with Carmel. It's one of the most searched and one of the most popular suburbs around Indianapolis. Some people won't even call it a suburb. It's either the most expensive or one of the most expensive places to live around Indianapolis. So why are people overpaying, or what pushes the price up in Carmel? It's an exceptionally nice place to live, and I think that's pretty hard to argue. Great infrastructure, great schools, it's super clean, it's very safe. So that desirability of living there pushes that price up. But the median home price in Carmel right now is a little over $600,000. So the price every single year, year over year, continues to rise to get into Carmel. And a major reason for that, it's not really growing anymore. So with less new construction, less opportunity to get in there, that makes the inventory pretty tight. And when you're looking at homes under that median price, under $600,000, people are pretty shocked at how few options you really have to get in there. And most of those homes, they're going for multiple offers. It's not like it was back in 2021, 2022, where all of those homes were 15 to 20 offers. But all it takes is one other offer in addition to yours to make it multiple offers. The fact that you're competing with another offer that you really don't know what the variables are in it forces you to do that. And it's not just people that are moving in from other parts of the country and relocating to Carmel, even people within Carmel and trying to move within Carmel. Let's say they're in their starter home and they want to move up. It's not like the city is a low income type city. The median household income in Carmel is about $135,000. So Carmel is grappling a little bit with this affordability issue, just like a lot of places are in the country. From my perspective, there's no doubt it is a nice place to live. It's really pretty easy to get around in, even if you don't like the roundabouts. They do help the traffic flow nicely through Carmel because there's 100,000 people in Carmel, but you also have a lot of transient traffic going through Carmel. So that desirability to be in Carmel is certainly there. But they're pretty surprised to find that in that price range, under $600,000 or so, how few move-in ready homes there are. So I already said the inventory is very tight, but when you look at that inventory, how much of it is really move-in ready? Well, the move-in ready, that phrase is subjective. I mean, could you just move in, put your furniture in, and live on? In a lot of homes, of course. But an extremely move-in ready home would be a brand new home, let's say, or let's say a home that was built in the 50s or the 60s, like you can find some in Carmel. But let's say that you have to paint the entire house. You got to change flooring in the entire house, and maybe you got to change a bathroom or two. That still can drive your renovation cost up to $100,000 pretty easily. If you throw a kitchen in there instead of just one of the bathrooms, then you can spend $100,000 pretty easily. And if the price of the home is already $550,000 and you got to tack on another $100,000, which by the way, you're not going to be able to borrow, that's going to be cash out of pocket, it's surprising to people to find a place where you don't have to do that in Carmel in that particular price range. So what's a good alternative to Carmel? So you want to be near it and you want something that's less expensive. Well, Westfield just to the north could be that. The median home sale price in Westfield right now is $505,000, which is significantly less than what you find in Carmel. Plus, since Westfield is growing, it is way bigger than it was 20 years ago. So since it's growing, there's usually in that price range a lot more inventory, a lot more choice. And Westfield is developing some serious character. They're redeveloping their entire downtown area, and all throughout Westfield, there is so much going on to develop the cultural heart. It's really a cool place. Plus, it is right next door to Carmel. People are pretty surprised in that you don't have to live in Carmel to enjoy what Carmel has to offer. And Carmel has a lot to offer. The downtown area is what really most people are interested in. The Arts and Design District, the Monon Trail that goes through there, City Center, and Midtown Plaza especially. But if you live in Westfield, you can go to those places, and oftentimes they're surprised at how little time it takes to get there. It can take 10 minutes, 15 minutes. And a lot of times if you live in Carmel, it's gonna take you 10 or 15 minutes to get over to that particular portion. Plus, if you need to go to Indianapolis, it doesn't take that much longer if you're in Westfield to get to Indianapolis or any part of Indianapolis, especially the downtown area where a lot of people wanna go for a game or a convention or a concert or something like that. It doesn't add that much time to your commute at all. So let's talk about Fishers. Fishers is often touted as having a really nice blend of affordability, city amenities, safety, top-rated schools. It's actually a great place to live. And why people would overpay in a place like that is similar to what we see in Carmel, in that the median home sale price in Fishers is still relatively high. Not as high as Carmel. It's around $420,000 or so. And the homes in Fishers go relatively fast too. We're looking at an average days on the market in Fishers right now of about 6 days or so. When you're talking about a median home sale price of $420,000, that means a lot of people are looking under that. And the surprise as to how tight the inventory is under $400,000 is high. That surprise is really there for a lot of people. And it also goes back to how move-in ready are these homes? So you have homes under $400,000 that might not be that old. It might be 1995 home, but in a lot of those homes, it is very, very 1995 in there. Again, it goes back to, is that the original carpet? Is that the original roof? Are these all original appliances? So 1995 now, that wasn't yesterday anymore. And that home probably needs some updates as well. And that low inventory drives up that competition just like it does over in Carmel. And whenever you're talking about a very move-in ready home right at that median price point of $420,000, it can get competitive. And if you have one other offer with yours, it's now a multiple offer situation and the price can go up. Money Geek actually just recently rated Fishers as the 4th safest city in the United States. And that's not the only safety rating from a publication that Fishers has received, but a lot of people want to be there, that desirability is there, and so it pushes those things that I just mentioned. So we found a lot of families looking at Fishers have been a little bit surprised. A lot of times it's their first home that they're trying to get into, and then they're a little bit surprised at the lower amount of homes to choose from under $400,000 and the work that they might need, or homes that people want to move up into. They're in the 3-bedroom home and now they need the 4 or 5-bedroom home. They've got their first child, or maybe they have 2 or 3 at this point, so they need those 4 or 5 bedrooms, and they're finding the same thing. So maybe the price that they can afford is a little higher. Maybe it's in the $450,000 range, maybe $500,000 range, but that particular inventory, that part close to that median price in Fishers is disappearing as the years go by. It's just a bit of a shock when people look at these places as being super affordable and find that it's just hard to find those affordable homes. So what's a good alternative to Fishers? Fortville. Well, if you go just to the east, and you're going to be looking likely in the eastern part of Fishers anyway, where more inventory would be, the median price point over in Fortville right now is around $320,000. And what you'll usually find is that Fortville's certainly smaller, but the inventory, the amount of choice that you have in that median price point range is a little bit higher. Plus, it's developing. It's almost like it's a suburb of Fishers at this point. It's so connected to it. And it has a really cool historic downtown that's been renovated and continues to get better and better. There's a little more choice out there and a little more to that particular part, what I would say east of Fishers in that whole area, than what people realize. Fortville's at the heart of all of that. Plus, if you're looking for highly rated schools, but something that might be a little bit smaller, when you get over into Fortville, now you're in Mount Vernon schools. And those are absolutely smaller, still very highly rated. And we've had many clients in the past, I've been very surprised by this, that have gone through Fishers and they've had a very good experience, didn't regret it at all, but they've told me that they always wonder, what if we were just a little further east and we were in Mount Vernon schools and the experience was a little smaller. So our kids had a little more opportunity to be on the baseball team or the girls' basketball team. It wasn't so competitive like it is in Fishers or Hamilton Southeastern High School. Both of those high schools, they're enormous. They're 3,400 kids, very big places. And over Mount Vernon, you're less than 2,000 kids. So they always wonder what if. And then any client that we've had in Mount Vernon schools have come back to us when we've talked over the years that, yeah, we're having a great experience. And I've heard fewer people say, we wonder what if we went back over into Fishers with a larger experience. Now, if you aren't sure where Fortville is or any of the other alternatives, especially that we're talking about here in this video, we've got a 55-page relocation guide that you can download from one of the links below. You can also scan this QR code here on the screen and get that guide and become a lot more familiar, not just with Indianapolis, but all the cities and towns that surround it, because there are more here than what people most of the time realize. Next one on our list is Noblesville. Now, Noblesville over the past 20 years has grown pretty fast, and the demand for Noblesville has outpaced a little bit of that affordability we're finding here over the last few years. So the median home sale price in Noblesville is right around that $417,000 range. When you're looking at that price, you think super affordable. But what people are finding is that at $417,000 or so, it's a challenge to find something. And then Noblesville, since it's growing so much, especially over the last 10 years or so, a lot of those homes are new builds. And with new builds, it's going to be exceptionally challenging to find something under that median price point of $417,000. You're almost always going to go over that $450,000, and of course, about as high as you want to go. Plus a lot of that new construction, you're talking about HOA fees to go along with that. Sometimes they're a little higher and maybe you don't get very much. Plus the smaller lots, these are kinds of things that some people are okay with and tolerate, or maybe even want. And with a lot of that development, it's busier than what people have realized, and that can turn some people off with the busyness. So what I've found over the years is that we've always suggested Noblesville as a place as an alternative to Westfield or maybe Carmel or Fishers, because it's a little further to the northeast and you can find some quieter spots in Noblesville, even some pretty close to or on the edge of being rural. But those places are getting further out there and they're fewer and further between. And so a lot of people that go to Noblesville say, well, you know, I don't really find a whole lot of it to be too terribly different as far as how busy it is from some of these other places that I've seen. We want something even quieter or maybe a little bit more out there. And we thought Noblesville would be a really good affordable alternative for something like that. So an alternative that some clients here in the past couple of years have found to Noblesville is really close by. It's Pendleton. Now the median price point in Pendleton is hovering around $335,000, and you do get a considerable amount of new construction in Pendleton as well. So you can still run into some of the smaller lots and HOA fees, but we found with some of the neighborhoods in Pendleton, the lots to be a little larger and a little more spread out. But what you can certainly find in Pendleton is a historic downtown like you have in Noblesville, which is super cool. A lot of really unique places, unique shops and restaurants, a slightly smaller scale, of course, because overall Pendleton is much smaller than Noblesville. Pendleton right now is hovering about 7,000 people, but it's growing. And the surprising thing about Pendleton is that 30 years ago, when I think of Pendleton, I thought about practically in a different state, that city. But it's not that way anymore. Noblesville has grown so much, Fishers has grown so much that it's brought Pendleton closer. So when you jump on I-69, the interstate, you're just minutes from Noblesville and minutes from Fishers. If you need some shopping at Hamilton Town Center, most of Pendleton is less than 20 minutes away from that. So it's become a pretty convenient place to live, a smaller, quieter place to live, and of course a more affordable place to live, and a good alternative to a place like Noblesville. So let's get into the next one, which is a go-to suburb on the west side of Indianapolis. It's Avon, Indiana. It's become a go-to for people looking for newer homes and kind of a central location on the west side that seems to be fairly convenient, but it's not always the place or the convenience that people are looking for. So most of the prices in Avon have climbed over $400,000 on average, especially when you're getting into a lot of those newer subdivisions and newer neighborhoods. And then what we've found people saying is that when they're looking at some of the new construction in a place like Avon, it seems very cookie cutter. It doesn't seem like it has a ton of personality in the neighborhoods. And if you had to sell your home, which we did for a couple of clients not that long ago, built a brand new home and then not even 2 years later have to sell it. When you're in a place that's still developing, you got a lot of new construction and you have to sell your relatively new home, you're still competing with other brand new homes that are being built. So that can make it a little bit difficult for appreciation. Avon is still a very, very nice place to live. Looking at Avon as that super great value, central location on that west side, plus other things that I've heard people say is that the infrastructure probably needs to keep up. Avon, if you go straight into Indianapolis, it can be a little difficult to get there. So the infrastructure, the stoplights, it's a little bit unevenly developed throughout Avon. With some of the clients that have actually moved to Avon, some have been very happy, but ones that have thought, yeah, Avon may not have been the place that we wanted to end up. Maybe we wanted to be someplace else. It's because that traffic that I mentioned, maybe getting into Indianapolis was a little bit more difficult than you thought, even though the proximity looks like on a map, it's not that bad, but you have to go through a lot of stoplights and a lot of traffic to get over into Indianapolis and to get to 465. That can be a little bit tough, and because of that, they have a feeling of being a little bit isolated, especially when you get further out in Avon, further and further to the west, and have to traverse miles and miles of some of this traffic and stoplights to get over to Indianapolis when they need to. They find they're going to Indianapolis less. But if you have to go to Indianapolis for work or whatever event, maybe something for your kids, then it's something we found that people have been a little bit worn out by. So a good west side alternative to Avon would be Plainfield. I am surprised as can be that Plainfield doesn't get more publicity or just is more well known than what it is. The median home sale price right now in Plainfield is about $330,000 and very affordable. It's much larger than what you find in Avon too. So in that price point, you can usually find, it's not like you're going to be tripping over choices, but you can usually find more close to that median price range than you can over in that smaller Avon. Plainfield also has really highly rated schools. The park system in Plainfield is really, really unique, and the trail system is phenomenal in Plainfield. You can get to just about anywhere in Plainfield using the trail system, either by running, walking, riding your bike. It speaks to the connectivity of the trail system in Plainfield and how diverse and spread out it really truly is. It's a place that you should really give a look, and getting to Indianapolis from Plainfield tends to be a little bit easier, especially if you're a little further south in Plainfield and you're close to I-70, which is super 70 through there. It feels like it's 100 lanes wide, and the traffic is never that bad on that particular part of 70. So getting into downtown Indy or getting over to 465, it's usually fairly easy and you don't have to stop, which is definitely something that adds to your convenience. All right, the last one, which as I told you I'm here today, is Greenwood. Now, a lot of times Greenwood is seen as the best value on the south side of Indianapolis, and people moving to Indianapolis, let's say in one of the cities around Indy, a lot of times we'll say, hey, Greenwood on the south side is usually the more affordable option for you. And it's really quite large. It's larger than what people realize. There's more than 60,000 people in Greenwood. So when you're talking about a median price point of around $330,000 and you have that size, you usually have some options through there. But there are some trade-offs to living in a place like Greenwood, and some people have found those over the years. Some people have found that there's some aging infrastructure in parts of Greenwood. Now, some of Greenwood is not that way. Some of it's very nice, like where I am right now in this old city park. Super nice, really renovated. But when you look at a place like this, and then some of the other older parts of Greenwood or some of the uneven development that I'm talking about, sometimes it's a little more glaring, and people have noticed that it's not quite the same all the way throughout Greenwood. Plus, if you're moving to Greenwood, people are surprised that, hey, it's not all one school system here. So for example, a lot of people want to be in Center Grove schools. Well, you can live in Greenwood and be in Center Grove schools, but you have to be within that school district. Center Grove is an exceptionally highly rated school system. Greenwood Community Schools, they're highly rated too, but Center Grove, people put it up a notch. And then there's another school system just off to the south and to the east in Greenwood, with a Greenwood address as well, when you get over into the Clark Pleasant Township school district there. So people are surprised that, hey, you pick a home and yeah, we want to be in Center Grove schools, and they find that home, it has a Greenwood address, but it's not in Center Grove schools. So you're a little more limited on your school options in a place like Greenwood, even though, let's say you're in Carmel, a little over 100,000 people, it's all one school. Here in Greenwood, far smaller, but the schools are chopped up into smaller school districts. Another thing people have noticed through Greenwood is that it's busier than they thought. It's actually has some places that are pretty rough for traffic. I mean, it's not like it's bumper to bumper, nobody's moving, but it can be congested. And strangely, people who've lived on the south side for a really long time, like my wife's family, they think the traffic on the north side is really bad. And I've lived on the north side for quite a few years. The traffic on the north side, yeah, there's traffic and it's congested, but you guys in Greenwood, you've got some congestion down here too. So we can't quite say it's so bad in one place and not in the other. It's equally as bad in some places here in Greenwood. Plus, people have said the retail here is pretty strong. You've got a lot of places to go and eat at a lot of big box stores here. So you do have some unique places for sure, but that normal retail, normal restaurant, that whole scene, you find a lot of it in Greenwood. So what's a good alternative to Greenwood? Well, if you're gonna be on the south side, you should maybe give Franklin a look. So the median home sale price in Franklin is going up, but right now it's sitting at around $310,000. And Franklin is very unique. So it's gonna have still some of the big box stores, chains, things like that. The historic downtown part of Franklin, for a place of its size, it's really fairly large. And you have Franklin College anchored right there to that downtown area. The small town charm, the small town vibe that you get in Franklin is very, very strong. And we've had some clients here over the past 2 years especially really start thinking about, hey, do I want to be in these places where affordability might be high, like in a place like Greenwood, but I'm still gonna have to go in there and spend money on the house. The move-in ready aspect of it isn't as high as I want. Is there another place that I could be and still be relatively close to Indianapolis? Of course, Greenwood is closer, but Franklin, as long as you're near I-65, it's kind of surprising how fast you can get to downtown Indianapolis. It's 30 minutes or just a shade under if you're a little further north in Franklin, which that's a pretty nice commute for a lot of people across the entire country. So not every popular Indianapolis suburb lives up to the perfect hype that everybody has in their mind. And that's why having local, honest guidance makes all the difference. So if you want to figure out which city or town around Indianapolis fits your budget the best and how it matches up with your lifestyle the best, then just reach out and you'll be talking directly with me and we'll figure this out. So if you're still exploring Indianapolis or any of those cities and towns around it, then go ahead and check out this next video and we'll catch you in the next one.